And we are live. Welcome back, everyone, to the Bounce Stadium Rants flagship NBA program. He is James. I am Kev, and we have a ton, a ton of stuff to get into. But before we do that, James, I have a little surprise for you.
Oh,
I,
surprise.
yeah, I have a little news, a little update.
Okay,
In
okay.
about 3 hours, I am drafting in a 32 team dynasty league. I have the
Oh.
13th overall pick.
Oh, what are we looking at? We haven't yet. Where are you looking here?
I'm going Matherin. I'm going to surprise everybody.
You're just gonna come hot out the
I'm
gates
going
and
to
get
come
your
hot.
guy.
No, yeah. I wish it was a dynasty league. If that was the case, that's what I'd be
Oh, if it
doing.
was,
But
yeah, Dynasty League would change it completely.
yeah, it's so interesting. It's a new phenomenon for me. I tried to join a 32 team league at the beginning of the season, and it was on Sleeper, and the commissioner just deleted it in the middle of the night. Like the Baltimore Colts, he just took off on us in
Yeah,
the
it
middle of the
just
night one night. Yeah, out of town. So I was looking around because I have the thought that one of the perks about the NBA fantasy wise is that after the NFL season stops, there's still like a good chunk
hmm
of the season. So after the NFL fantasy season ends, which for some people is in like 2 weeks,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So I got the
Mine
idea
ended
like
like
let's
six
start.
weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah. That's for some of my teams. It ended in week 4, but maybe now would be a time to start league because that's the thing. There's so many games left. I wouldn't feel cheated if I started a dynasty or a fantasy league right now for the
hmm
NBA, and you have the benefit of a month and a half's worth of games, 2 months worth of games to base your strategy off of. So
hmm
I'll be interested to see who's around. I haven't had a chance to mock. I'll be mocking
So,
right after
so how
this. I
much
joined the
time
league
do
this
you
morning.
get? How much time do you get per pick? How long does it take?
A minute. It's 11 rounds,
Oh,
32
so you're
teams.
going quick. So it's not.
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
I have a feeling I'm going to do very well because
We
the
are gonna we're
NBA
gonna
fantasy,
we're gonna dissect your team next week. We're gonna pull it up and we're gonna dissect it.
perfect.
Pros
Yes.
and cons list.
That's exactly why I'm trying to get into more fantasy leagues because, I want to cover that. It's a fun game. It's something I'm not quite experienced enough at. I'm admittedly only bronze level on Yahoo, but I've only been doing it for 2 seasons, and it's time to learn because fantasy basketball is fun. There's so many games every night this
hmm
year. We've talked about that before. There's basketball almost every single night. Tonight's a weird night. There's only one game,
One game
which
tonight,
is
yeah,
great for us because we had an early episode last week, so we have a ton
10 days.
of stuff to cover. A bunch, which, we can get into some of it right now. We've got some highlights to play for
hmm
them because, you know, as a Pacers fan, I wanted Victor Wembanyama, and I'm sure there are some
hmm
Magic fans who are saying, I'd love me some Victor Wembanyama, but you know what, guys?
He's already in the league.
You, yeah, you have him
He's already here.
at home.
Look at this dude. He's been in the league
The
for 3 years,
pull-up
and
three.
nobody to unleash him. Look at this man. Look at that.
He is so nice, and that the step through, oh, it's fantastic, and we're not even done with him yet because here comes the
Look at this.
interception,
Look
and
at
we've got an alley oop. Boom! He goes and gets
he's like
one hand,
like
folks.
an
Like that
inch off the
wasn't the
ground.
greatest lob pass.
He's like this far off
He
the
didn't have
ground,
to
and he's
jump very
just
high.
slamming it. He's already in the league, so I don't know what all the hype's about. He's already here. 3 years
Yeah,
in
he's
now.
the unicorn. And now you're seeing what Taco Fall's doing over in China. Have you seen that? That
I
guy
have not. Is he going
is
wild over there?
dominant. He looks like a different man. We'll
He's
check
gonna
in
be
on
a
him
he's gonna
next
become
week.
a
I've
he's
been
gonna
collecting
become a
some highlights.
cult favorite over there, like Stephon Marbury did when he went over there,
Or Jimmer.
or Jimmer over
Jimmer
there. Yeah,
Fredette was a monster. Might still be. I don't know what he's doing right now, but
I don't. I'm sure he's somewhere.
he could light it up. And I just had to do it because here we are. I'm a
Oh
Pacers
no!
fan living his best life right now. We're not supposed to be here, but it's plays like this
Beautiful.
that get you there.
Down 17 in the fourth. Down 17.
The wherewithal and the awareness by Halliburton here is really what is gets me excited about this. Like
He's
this is a he
good, man.
waits, he fires that pass with his left hand. it's hilarious when you listen to the announcers. I cut the audio for these clips for our sake, but the Pacers home court announcer, you can hear him despair as he thinks that he realizes Halliburton. He says he's held on too long. He's held the ball too long, but Halliburton with his offhand fires a pinpoint pass across the
Bang.
court. And the rookie, who Rick Carlisle, after the game, has said, gave props to his GM and said that when you do a redraft of this class in a couple of years, that Nemhard will be the 12th or 13th guy.
That's Nemhard out of Gonzaga / Florida,
Yes, he
right?
is.
That's what I
Yep.
thought. Okay, I
Yep.
thought when I saw the name that was him. Yeah, like he's good.
And I popped for him when he was a guy I was excited about before the draft for two reasons. He was a veteran guard. He was a senior guard who played a lot of meaningful basketball at a high quality program. So I knew, like, when I see guys like that, I don't necessarily think that's a franchise player that I'm going to build around, but I see a guy like maybe a DJ Augustine type. I see a quality backup point guard who could play in the league for 10 to 12 years.
And about instant too. Those guys are ready to go. You know,
Exactly.
They've played enough. You know what they're low floor, good ceiling on them. So your Pacers are 4th in the Eastern Conference right now. Kev, how are you feeling about this? 12-9, sitting in 4th. How are you feeling, bud?
I should be feeling better, but you know why I'm not feeling well, because you mentioned it. So I don't want to steal your thunder. There was one game in particular, one of those 4 losses. Do you want to bring it up?
Oh yeah. All right. What was it? This was Sunday or Monday, right?
Yes.
They had a guy had 31 and 29 against him. In a lot, they lose. The Pacers lose 31 points, 29 rebounds, 14 of 17 from the field, 82% from the field. He had 12 offensive rebounds. He fouled out with 3:40 remaining, or he probably could have got to the 30-30. Who was the guy?
It was Wilt Chamberlain.
Not Wilt Chamberlain. He is mentioned with Wilt Chamberlain all week. It was Ivica Zubac, your boy, Mr. Ivica Zubac. Congratulations to all the fans that got that right, because nobody did.
And shout out to Ivica. He has been on many a 2K rebuild for me over the years. He's a guy here in the Nevick household. We have known about Ivica.
That's a guy.
He's that dude. But oh my goodness, with Paul George out, Kawhi Leonard out, this is a team with this many wins. Now your expectations have flipped on you. Now
win those games. Should be
exactly. Now we have to win these games because you're a playoff team now, which again, because they don't win games like that, which is why I have been hesitant. And in our last episode, we titled the segment, "What Are the Pacers Doing?"
Yep.
It's because of this. Like yes, they have a big win. They come back from 17 down, but let's be real. I understand LeBron James is on that team, but how many wins do the Lakers have as of now? They won 5 games, maybe 2 of those were back-to-back against the Spurs.
They got 8 wins, man.
8. I apologize, but yes, they're sub 500. They're not a good team, and the Pacers scare me. I mean, they don't get me wrong. That is one of the brightest futures of all time, and I've gotten maybe a bit hyperbolic when I say of all time for the Pacers history. Let me reframe it.
Yeah.
But as sad as I am about the loss of any potential to get to Victor, I was reminded via a tweet that this Pacer team, they still have 3 first-round picks in the next draft. So they can still do a lot of things with that.
Who else do they have?
They have the Cavs from the Karis LeVert trade, which again, at this point, they had Nemhard with their second-round pick, which was the first pick in the second round. Yep. So if you just look at it as LeVert for Nemhard, a lot of Pacers fans are making that narrative right now, saying, I feel like we won that trade without the draft pick, which no knock on Karis, but I can understand how fans are feeling that way. I am very happy. No, I say the draft pick is what makes it a win. But yes, I still need to see a little more from Andrew before I'm ready to say Karis has been inconsistent. But I mean, he's got some offensive ability, and I'm a fan of him. But yeah, so they have 3 picks. They can still move some things around. I'm still pretty excited. It all hinges now on whether or not Miles Turner is going to re-sign, because
that's the question. What's your gut telling you right now? Do you think him and Buddy are staying? I mean, Buddy's in, like, unless they trade him.
Yeah. I would think at this point now, a Buddy trade would make sense to me potentially because there's a lot of talent on the wings at that team. We haven't
Mhm.
talked much about
Yep.
Aaron Nesmith or Naismith. Sorry, I always want to say Naismith, even though it's not how it's spelled at all. But he's another guy who hasn't got a lot of playing time, a lot of opportunities throughout his career, but it's there, and he's had some big moments for the team as well. And then we have Chris Duarte, who's been injured, seemingly has underperformed, and the pulse I get on Twitter is that the fans are jumping ship on him. I'm not ready to do that. Same guy. I like him for the same reasons I like Nemhard coming out. And one of the things that Duarte did in the summer league, his rookie year, that I do put stock in, is he made a lot of buzzer beating shots.
Mhm.
Say what you want about the talent you go up against at the summer league, and I'll agree with all of it. However,
Mhm.
buzzer beater shots, clutch shots, they are what they are. That's about you and your mind and getting right. So I have faith in him. So I could see Buddy getting moved.
Yep.
Miles, I think Miles would resign. He
Mhm.
it doesn't that he has been so good at playing the Eli Manning game and saying everything exactly right because he's got me sold that he wants to be here in Indiana. So if uh, if he pulls some move, I know there was a situation where he talked about, oh, if I'm the Lakers, I would want this is what I bring to the table, but I don't hold too much weight into that. I I don't, at least as far as like, I don't read that as a sign of him saying I need to be traded. I just see that as him being smart enough to know he's got a camera in front of him. Let's sell ourselves.
Mhm. Yeah, it's gonna be. I think they got to. If I'm the Pacers, I'd keep him. I just you don't know. Are they in on it? Or they think they can get? But and it depends on what they get offered too. You know.
And on the commitment level, because there's that too. Like
Yeah, you want to be there too. You know,
you
as the
get
guy that came
something
and said he
for him.
wanted to, the Lakers should revisit.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's the thing. If you get to January, February, and he no, you're not any closer to a commitment. At what point do you just say, "Well, I would like a
Yeah,
return on this investment,"
yeah. The
and
closer you get
something
to
is
that
better
trade
than nothing.
deadline, and there's no let's deal done, get this done, then whew, it's tough to ride that, knowing that you could lose him regardless of what happens.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing about his value because it's true in the sense, right? This is true for every player. I'm going to say it, even though it's pretty obvious that the closer he gets to the trade deadline, in theoretically, the lesser his value goes down with every day he gets closer because that's less time you get to have with him. However, because of the kind of player Miles is, who averages multiple blocks a game, and you can see it in the
He's really
Pacers
good on
team
that front.
statistics, just when he's on the court and when he's not. It's one of the top, one of the top defenses in the league to maybe the worst.
Hmm.
So a playoff team who faces an injury or something, there could be teams in the right situation where, okay, I'm willing to give you a first round pick in the next couple of years
Hmm.
because I think Miles Turner, if he stays healthy, can get us over the top. I don't know exactly which teams those are right now, but as we get closer to the trade deadline, it's possible. So it's not like the bottom's going to drop out here and he's going to become worthless. So they
Yeah.
do have the luxury of being able to wait right up until the trade deadline to make their decision. But
Hmm.
if you don't have that commitment,
Yep.
I have a hard time. I need something.
I
I,
feel the
I
same way
need
too.
something.
Like you can't for franchise you're not technically rebuilding, but if he moves, you are. That's a part of it. Like you can't just let him go for nothing. You have to get something for him. You have to.
Especially
If
now that you're winning
unless he
games.
commits, if he commits, then I think the best case scenario is he stays. Don't you think? Or I mean, what do you think on it?
I do think that's the best case scenario. I'm worried about the injuries, as everyone is, but what we just talked about defensively, uh, it,
Hmm.
it's night and day. And there are a lot of things I'd like to see him improve upon offensively, as you noticed in the highlight clip with Nemhard. Before he had his shot, Miles missed his. He has kind of taken a dip on his 3-point efficiency, which
Hmm.
I that's easy to fix, in my opinion. That's just time in the gym, especially when you're a dude of his size. Like, you can
Yeah.
get, he's an athlete. He can go up there and get those shots in. So I think their best case scenario, when you're looking at these situations, if you have the money to do it, I always ask who's available in the market that's better than what you have, and
Yeah.
who's available. And even then, I go into hypotheticals. I'm looking at Rudy Gobert in Minnesota. No, I'm good. So I'm looking at the other good shot blockers in the NBA, and I'd still take Miles Turner right now, so long as we can keep him healthy. What about
He's
you?
younger. Yeah, that's the big thing. There's a health is the key there, but he's younger. Even you talk about getting guys like that, yeah, or you go into draft picks and then it slows down the timeline. You got to hit those guys, and it's not going to be a top 10 draft pick they're going to get back for him. I think the best move is to re-sign him. The question is, does he want to be there? Is there a commitment to be there, or does he want out? And he hasn't really leaned either way outside the Lakers should try to trade for me comment.
And that's what's been. It's been a never-ending saga. I've been looking back. Every time I go to tag Miles Turner's name in an article, you see about 4 years worth of trade rumor articles.
Yep.
And it's just, yeah, why not? It's a tale as old as time with Pacers fans. It's like, oh yeah, it's about that time of year again. They're going to start talking about trading for Miles. And so luckily, I think by all accounts, the city's treated him well. The team has treated him well. The fans love him. So unless the negotiations get too frugal, I don't see any reason why he would want to walk away. And it comes down to Rick Carlisle, I think, at this point, because something that people may forget if you're not a Pacers fan, there's been a bit of a tumultuous history at the head coach position. There's been lots of turnover. Guys really liked Nate McMillan. He went to Atlanta, was everyone's darling, myself included, at that time, got them to an Eastern Conference final, now has that job full time. Now there are some struggles. But the Pacers then followed it up with Nate Bjorken, who everyone, I almost want to say, despised.
Did not
TJ Warren demanded a trade at that point in time. Yeah, and then came Rick Carlisle, who was leaving because he wasn't getting along with his franchise player. So I was very nervous about, oh God, because counterpoint, he's one of the most successful coaches in franchise history. So of course you would like Rick Carlisle back on paper, in theory. So if that goes well, I feel very confident that Miles sticks around. But because look at who he's got around him. He's got not only Tyrese Halliburton, who's going to come up again, but he's got one of our contestants in Who Did It Better, which this week would be Who Drove It Better.
Yep.
So Rookie of the Year front runner, I'm saying it at this point.
He is. Paolo's been hurt too, so that doesn't help his cause.
Yes, absolutely. And it clips a little bit there, but you see the up and under from Benny. I don't know why it is giving us such a hard time. And here we go, Ja. He goes up and under as well. So it was fantastic. Now you've seen both of these clips, James. We all know who I'm going to pick. Who do you think did
You're
this?
going to pick, so I'm going to go the other way regardless. I think Jaws is just a little bit more athletic. Like, they're great plays both. The split through the defenders, coming down, the wrap up, they're both impressive. I think that one's just a little bit more for me. The split of the defenders like he does is really good.
That is fair. And you know what? I'm going to pivot here because something that people don't know about me yet, but you'll come to learn it over here at the Bounce, is that I am a huge Ja Morant stan. He is my favorite non-Pacer out there.
Okay.
Human highlight reel. And for me, it was the fact that when he caught it, he had to fight off the steal. And that showed a lot of upper body strength. He's able to fight through that and then get through two defenders. I actually am, I'm equally impressed.
They're both
can't
really
sneeze
impressive,
at either of them, but we're going to go with Ja on this one. And he is not done today being part of our highlight reel.
No, he is not done. Oh, so impressive.
What an impressive alley-oop. And Gobert is just very frustrated. He's trying to command the defense. We will talk about the Timberwolves again this season. We talked a little bit about their issues.
Underrated aspect of that play, okay, is the uniforms the Grizzlies are wearing. They are wearing yellow accents. If you aren't paying attention, they are all yellow accents. So sleeves, knee, legs, all of them.
They got together.
Underrated aspect. They look they stick out like a sore thumb, and I love it. I love it. uniform or shoe.
Yes, because I was just about to say that's the most Grizzlies thing ever, right? That is
Yes.
exactly that's almost a meme now at this point. About once a week I'll see someone on Twitter that's like, this team needs to lose, and it's just the Grizzlies having too much fun for them, they're
Jaren
all
Jackson
dancing
playing
together.
really good too. He's gotten
Yes,
back and he's been playing really good for him.
he has been a
He's
big a big get for them. And yeah, we were concerned last episode, you
mm-hmm.
know, it was immediately reported that Ja was going to miss weeks. He was going to be week to week, and he was playing
Only
3 days later. And
missing
now he's out here making these kind of
Yeah,
plays.
I
So I would
texted you and I was like, did I lose my mind? Like, did we read this wrong? Yeah, he was supposed to be week to week, and he didn't miss nothing.
missed virtually no time. And we're going to keep it rolling here with some more impressive nights. Wow, a little bit of revenge, right? I wonder if that was a little bit of a revenge game. The face certainly makes it look that way.
Yeah,
But Norman
the
Powell,
face is showing this is a revenge game. That's Storm and Norman. That's great.
22 points in the fourth quarter, outscored the entire team, and their most points by a Clippers player in the fourth quarter in the last 25 seasons. So that's a pretty impressive quarter. You got any thoughts on that, James?
I saw that, I don't know what to even say. I didn't know he was still even playing at this point in my life. I was like, what?
He still got it?
Like, he's still going strong? Sure
Buried
is,
in that Clippers lineup. Like the depth of that Clippers team, I think, gets underplayed at
If they've
times.
climbed to fifth in the West, they're not, and they're not healthy at all.
No, that's how they keep doing. They're one of those teams that, like, if they ever could get healthy, they'd be a nightmare. But
you just don't know either.
And speaking of nightmares, Norman Powell's not the only one who had a big quarter. And we'll start by, we're going to start in reverse. And we're going to start with Devin Booker's massive 51. And I mentioned the one quarter because Booker didn't even play in the fourth quarter.
This was done in 3 quarters, folks.
Yeah, 50. Do you have it? So that I also want to point out, because we were already going to be talking about Devin Booker's.
So we were going to talk. The segment was called Devin Booker's Big Night, and we screwed up because we made it before his actual big night. So you're talking back-to-back games, 51 points on 25 shots. Another one was 44 points on 28 shots. Like, that's unbelievable. He's the second player ever to score 50 points on 80% shooting through 3 quarters. Can you guess the other one? And I'll give you a hint. It's been in the last 5 years. I'll cut out a lot of time.
Klay Thompson.
Ooh, good guess. It's James Harden.
Oh, darn it.
80% through 3 quarters. Yep. Second player. Devin Booker is going to try to win this MVP award this year. We'll talk about that. But
yes,
20 of 25, 6 of 7 from 3, 6 assists, 4 rebounds.
He's going hard after it. And before, we do want to talk about the MVP race, and I'm going to slide in just one little piece of NBA history before we do, because another guy that has been just playing with some kind of chip on his shoulder, at least something to prove. Zion has been outside of his mind. And so he did something only Michael Jordan has done, scoring all of those points right there on the screen in his first 100 career games. So that's pretty impressive, James. Thoughts on that?
Very, very impressive. Like, his a little goofy because of the injuries, but to do that in that short amount of time is really, really impressive. He had a season high the other night, too. He had 33 points on 15 shots, another 80%.
Just so efficient. Yeah, he's just a nightmare to guard. And when I first saw the new look Zion early on, we saw this guy who just looked a little more fit and a little more explosive. And you just wondered, well, does he still have the muscle? Is he still going to be able to just powerhouse and overload people? And the answer is yes. He's just as strong, and now he's quicker.
Did you see the double clutch dunk he did?
I did not see the double clutch dunk. Oh my goodness! But
he comes left side. We'll get it for next week. He comes left side, goes up, and double up under, slams it. And it's again casual display of athleticism, just a ridiculous casual display.
That's I'm happy to hear that because I was just going to suggest to Zion that if he hasn't been doing it, he should be watching some of Akeem Olajuwon's tape because I am just sitting here picturing, like, can you imagine with Zion's athleticism, if he can get to a point where he has 3 or 4 moves with his pivot foot locked in
Mhm.
and any one of those can make the guy in front of him jump, because Zion's just like
Mhm.
Hakeem, he's a drop step dunk. That's a guarantee. And if he's got a nice touch, he's got a good finishing ability, and yeah, he starts to add a little bit of polish to his game
Mhm.
on top of the muscle. Oh, good luck.
It's going to be really impressive, folks.
And hey, you mentioned really impressive, and we've mentioned MVP candidates, and I am at a loss here, James, because the
This
universe
is
has done it.
so if anybody, just so everybody knows, it says Perkins. It does not say Kev on it. It is not Kev's top 5 MVP candidates. It is Kendrick Perkins. And there's somebody on the right of that image that does not typically belong with the rest. Doesn't fit.
Yeah, one of these things is not like the
Yeah.
other. And now I'm just at odds because I don't know whether to agree with Kendrick Perkins for the first time in my life. Well,
You're gonna
but
have
not
to.
do I? But then here's the thing: outside of being a homer, I got to look at things like this. First player in NBA history with 40
God,
assists and 0 turnovers. That is just
unbelievable is what
I
that is.
I don't know, and it's in a 3-game span. I wanted you all to be able to see it, so I took the banner off right there.
Yeah,
But I, I don't know
that's
how to explain it.
crazy,
And
man.
to go back to the play that we showed with Nemhard earlier, we were talking about Tyrese and how he held on to the pass late, last
Hmm.
possible second, got that ball out of his hands. Well, he did in an interview after the game, which was quote tweeted by Josh Hart. He broke down in about the span of 20, 30 seconds all the different thoughts he processed in the 4 seconds that he had the ball
Oh
in his
yeah,
hands. And it took him so long to explain it. Josh Hart was like, dude, you thought about all of this in 4 seconds? And he's like, you're
hmm
good, man. And that's coming
Yep.
from a peer. And that's the truth. Like and I'm not going to be able to articulate it all. It would be paraphrased, but essentially,
Hmm.
he knew he had time to shoot. He was looking for someone in the corner, but then he saw LeBron sag too far deep and realized that he would have enough strength with the left hand to get it out. You don't get to see it much in the clip, but it was also a no look. He also looked up at Miles and threw the pass.
Hmm.
Not certain that he necessarily had to do that, but it doesn't matter. He did it. It makes that more impressive.
It is.
And doing
His
that
stat line
efficiently.
from that game was he had 24, 14, and 7 in that game. He had a bad
Yeah,
game last night and a loss, but 24, 14, and 7 is. It's crazy that, and I know he wasn't a fit with the Kings because of Fox, but that's the guy. Like they let him go. Like that's, and I go, no, they're good. Sabonis is playing good for him. It's just that
yeah.
one's interesting, man.
Could be one of those rare win-wins. But
Yeah,
at the
yes, it could.
time, as a Pacers fan, we were all thinking, or at least I can't say all of us, but a lot of people were thinking, well, maybe we can get Fox because there's no way they'll trade us Halliburton.
Yeah, because
And
Halliburton
then,
wanted to be a king for life, man. It's what he wanted to do. It's where he wanted
yeah.
to be.
And he was younger and he had the ups. Like, don't get me wrong, Darren Fox is a good player. We're going to end up talking about him more throughout the year. I'm certain of it because
Mm-hmm.
he's a good player. But Halliburton had so much untapped potential. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it was very clear, at least to those who focus on that part of the game, those of us who love point guards and watching point guard play and watching offenses be run, you watch what he does. And the jump passes will scare
Mm-hmm.
you. They'll scare any coach who's having a hard time with the modern game because you're so used to guys getting up off their feet and not knowing what they want to do with it.
Yeah, just freaking out up there.
It's part of his plan when he does it. When he's doing it, when Halliburton leaves his feet, he knows what his 2 to 3 options
Mm-hmm.
are. And he's practicing those. You see the quirky, unorthodox. It's kind of like a, forgive me for this hyperbolic comparison, but it's like a Mahomes-esque delivery. Like he is the guy who's going to go out there and practice those weird no-look showtime passes and be able to deliver them in a game because he's
Mm-hmm.
prepared himself for that situation.
Yep.
So that being said, who's missing from this list? Because it doesn't like you said, he doesn't normally belong here. So in order to have him up here, we've got to be forgetting some people. And
Luka's got to be considered, right? Like their record's not.
Their record's not great, but how
Really,
bad would it be without him?
they wouldn't have a record.
It would be.
they would be. It'd be ugly.
Yes, they. Oh boy, I think you said it in our pre-week meeting. They're missing Jalen Brunson, huh?
Yeah, missing him. Who else could
And
be
what about
there?
Jokic?
That
Of
was my
course,
other
he's
one.
got to be in the
Time
conversation.
defendant. He's there.
He's just outside. I think this is where I think a lot of detractors towards this list would probably that'd be their first.
Yeah.
What about Jokic?
I'm gonna compare
Usual.
stats to last year. That's what I'm pulling up.
Nice. Yeah. To round off some of our other usual suspects, we have Joel Embiid, who of course has been too injured for consideration. Say the same thing for Harden, even though I don't think realistically he's been in that conversation for a couple of years now.
The Joker's stats are down a little bit, about 4.5 points less per game, less rebounds, assists are up. So yeah, his stats are a little down, but I mean the Nuggets keep winning. They're firmly in the number 2 spot right now. Like they keep winning, his name will pop up.
Yeah. And then we've got the two best players and the two best teams in the East right now.
And the best player from best team in the West right now is the top 3. You can't really argue with those.
Yep. Yeah, I can't argue with this list at all other than potentially with Halliburton out there. Who was it? I'm spacing. Who was it that we just had? I know it was Jokic, but again, his numbers are a bit down, so I can see it. I can understand it, but let us know in the comments, guys. Who are we forgetting about? Who's your early MVP candidate? So, for instance, I have in the past gone down swinging with Dame Lillard because I think it was 2 years ago, he had one of the best first halves I've ever seen a point guard have, and I thought he was going to carry it. Thought he was going to be able to do it, and it just wasn't in the cards. So let us know, guys, in a comment who's your MVP or other awards.
Maybe a guy like Steph Curry if the Warriors keep winning, climb out of where they're at. You know, they've won 6 out of the last 10, so they're trending in the right direction. They can never figure out how to win on the road, maybe.
Yeah, that would be good if they could figure that out.
2-10 on the road.
What is it?
2-10 on the road. 9-1 at home. 2-10 on the road.
Wow, they really like that home cooking. They really, really. Thank God they got that new arena. They can't win
the Chase
anywhere
Center,
else.
man. Yeah.
That's wild. Who can win anywhere right now?
Yeah. Yes. They could win on the moon right now.
What was it? Was it 2 losses in all of November? Am I right on that? I believe
they've got what 4 overall, I think. Yeah,
for the year,
18-4. Like, I think there's not many losses to be had.
There was a stretch early in November before the Pacers picked up a couple tough losses where it was Boston and Indiana were the only 2 teams with fewer than 4 losses in the Eastern Conference for the month. So they were the Celtics, and now it's just the Celtics. Now it's Boston. For this month, it's them and everybody else. And we saw
it. Yeah, it's 2 losses. Jesus,
that's a month, ain't it?
Yeah, that is impressive. They were 3-2 in October, and they went 15-2 in November. That's wild.
Now I'm going to play devil's advocate here because there's always the concept of it's not always how many, but when. And it's a long season. We're not even really super close to the halfway point of it. Is this too early, or is Boston going to continue to get better from here? Or are we going to see a natural regression? What do you think, James?
What's crazy is like their offensive efficiency is really, really good. They're defensively, they're still not average. They're around 20th in the league in a lot of categories. Like, yeah, I would think there'd be a regression, but their defense isn't even there yet. So is there an even regression where the offense comes down and then their defense comes back up like they were having last year? The defense last year was really, really good. It carried them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, they had 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidates. I mean, I don't know if they both made it into the final 5, but they came into this year with the possibility of you might have 2 finalists for D-Boy, and now
the defense has been what's not been the best, and they're 18-4. So
yeah, they're good. We're just going to score 130, and if you score 135, all right, good luck.
It's like they're 5 points above number 2, which is the Suns, and then the Suns to 19th is a 5-point stretch. So that's how far above everybody they are right now.
Yeah, and
So
it's
they can get the defense, like they click that defense in. No luck. Good luck.
and I agree with you though. I mean, defense costs energy, so I do think if they get
Yeah,
that defense
there's
back,
a
there's going to be
correlation
a dip.
there.
And
Yeah.
to be honest, over the stretch of the season, that's kind of what I am feeling is that how do you maintain this throughout the course of the year? I what I imagine is going to happen with Boston is if they are lucky, and this is I think they are going to be lucky, or maybe it's just going to work out. Maybe they're just good, really good. They're going to have that regression. Hopefully, either right before the All Star break or sometime after it, and then they will again trend up at the right
Yeah.
time. Because at this point, this team has such a perk of being young while at the same time seasoned. At this point, they've gone
Mhm.
multiple deep playoff runs. Like these
Yep.
guys, they're not afraid of big moments. They are going. I know it's not a light switch, but it is a bit like a burner. You can get turned up and heated up, barring injuries. I think these guys, if they can have another month even close to this towards
Yep.
the end of the season,
And
they'll be dominant going to the
don't
playoffs.
forget they're missing somebody. I just kind of thought of this. They're missing Robert Williams right now, who is a key cog in that defense. That could be the kicker there. He comes back, that defense then might, you talk about a slow burn, then it might just ignite.
Yeah, and that because he's another guy, much like in the way of Turner, where the way that he plays and the ground that he covers, he
Mm-hmm.
allows your wing players and your guards to get more aggressive into the passing
Yep.
lanes.
Because he makes up a lot in there for him.
Yeah, sometimes it creates bad habits. We'll be honest, but those bad habits can lead to aggressive play. It can lead to a lot of. It can be feast or famine.
Mm-hmm.
But those turnovers, got a guy like Rob cleaning up after it, and that is the thing with this team. They also have dealt early on with a few Brogdon injuries, which is part of it. I think they really have to keep an eye on him. They're in a luxurious situation where they have some depth there, where maybe just like monitor his minutes and save him for a playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
But because he's very good, he's going to be a valuable player for them in the playoffs if he's there. But that's the big issue with him is there's something wrong with his legs almost
Yep.
every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every single year something.
It's unfortunate, and well, that takes me to we've got some other injury updates,
Mm-hmm.
and here's
Our
a
boy,
guy,
our team, man, our team.
the show's favorite team, one of our favorites, Minnesota forward Carl Anthony Towns expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks with the calf strain, which is brutal. Return sometime in January. This is tough.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this. I don't. This is going to sound bad. I'm going to try to tiptoe around it. You don't ever want to see anyone get hurt, but if you're Minnesota and one of your big guys is going to not play for a while, this is the wrong big guy to not be playing because he's the self-proclaimed greatest big man shooter of all time. I'd say he's one of the best current big man shooters on the court without a doubt, but he's got a lot more to offer you on the offensive end, and Rudy Gobert just hasn't been a good fit. We saw in that clip he's trying to direct traffic in the fast break. I don't know. Is there a bit of an issue? Maybe there's a credibility issue. Maybe his new teammates don't like him. He's a guy. He's a bit of a character. We won't go into all of it. He's had his fair share of antics and interesting decisions. He's got a personality, so maybe he just doesn't fit with these guys. But what are your thoughts, James? This is a pretty rough injury. Are you worried for the Timberwolves?
I'm worried in like two ways. One, what happens if they just start running a bunch of pick and rolls with Rudy Gobert and then just start scoring, Anthony Edwards getting downtown? There's that worry that they figure that out. And then all of a sudden Towns comes back. The other worry is they still hadn't figured it out with those two bigs. Now one of them's gone for a long time. You're looking at January is what they're saying. That's a chunk of this season. There's a lot of games there. Then what happens is that the offense adjusts to life without it. I think it's bad on all fronts for them trying to figure this whole thing out.
I agree with you there. That's a good point. The point you mentioned about, now they have about a month at least of time without those two guys on the court together. So they're not able to build any chemistry and try to figure out how to do something that's going to work. I agree with you as well. I actually, as a owner of some shares of Anthony Edwards in the fantasy market, I'm very happy in that sense because
very good for him.
Yeah, very good for him. And you could be right. I think with a pick and roll heavy offense, where now, again, one of the things I've been saying is their lane has been too clogged, which doesn't
Mhm.
allow
Yep.
Anthony Edwards to do what he does best, which is just attack the rim like a
Mhm.
piranha who's just had a steak dropped into the river. So let the man do his work. I think he's going to step up, but I don't know. Like you said, if they figure it out, good luck trying to tell Cat that he's just going to be a stretch four now. Like, hey, you're just a secondary option on this offense. I don't think that's
Right.
going to work out very
No,
well.
it's not gonna go. Well, maybe he'll be the third. Maybe old D'Angelo Russell will come out and take over, and then Cat's just way down that pecking order.
D'Angelo, yep. I mean, it's possible. He has shown those flashes before. D'Angelo is so we were talking about Halliburton earlier. D'Angelo Russell is what every coach is afraid of when they see Tyrese Halliburton doing Tyrese Halliburton things. They're like, "Oh, don't leave
Mhm.
your feet. Come on, man. What? God, another turnover. Stop." Like,
Yeah.
and then he's also one of those. No, 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 no. Yes. Where it's like, "Oh, don't take that shot. Oh, you made it. Yes."
Yep.
And you want that confidence. I hate to say it, he's shown the flashes. I feel he's been
Yep.
showing flashes for a long time.
Mhm.
I'd like to. I'm dying to see it on a consistent level. And I've bought in on D'Angelo
Mhm.
a couple of times in my life at this point.
Yeah.
I'd really love to see him turn it around. And now's an opportunity, I guess. I'll just say
Yep.
that.
There you go. Here you go.
So we also have, on a more positive note, we have, what is
Yep.
it, the second best team in the East getting a
Mhm.
little bit stronger, and the struggling, at least certainly health wise, Sixers now have
Yep.
James Harden coming back. So I'll let you pick who you want to talk about first here, James.
Middleton, man, it's been a while. He missed a lot of last year, missed their playoff run. You
Yep.
could tell in the playoffs they missed him from the title team. They just missed his playmaking ability, his scoring ability. I am very excited to see him get back on the court finally. For as much as we talk about Boston, Milwaukee's only 2 games behind them. They've only got 5 losses. They're 15-5. They haven't played as many games. They're
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, and they've done it without their second best player, and
Mm-hmm.
that has been impressive. And are you worried at all, much like we just talked about with Cat, are you worried about how Middleton fits back into the fold? Because that's a
Ooh.
lot of shots that had been previously spread around. Like,
Yeah,
that's a high volume shooter.
yeah,
Not necessarily, we're not talking about Allen Iverson here, but Chris
yeah.
Middleton, in order to be Chris Middleton, has to shoot the ball. So are you worried about that?
I don't think so because I think he'll probably come out in a minutes restriction right away. So it's not going to be hey, I'm back, 30 shots, let's roll. I think they'll ease him back into that role because I bet it's been close to a year. I'd have to look at the exact. I bet it's been 9 months, since he's
Mhm.
played meaningful basketball. So it's going to take some time. He hasn't played right away, and they're winning games, so they don't need him. Obviously, they need him, but they don't need him to come in and just be his old self right away. He can take some time and get his legs back under him, get moving again. So I'm not worried about his as much.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think as well, he's the kind of guy that fits in well within the offense. Like,
Yep.
the way his game is, don't get me wrong, he's had big moments where he's had to create shots off the dribble, pull up
Yep.
long, mid-range three-pointers, big game clinching shots in the playoffs, but he has the ability to come off screens, catch and shoot, and just because he's an efficient scorer,
Mm-hmm.
he can do sort of a forgive the comparison, but a Kevin Durant esque game or
Mm-hmm.
a Klay Thompson esque game where he doesn't have to dominate the ball and handle it for minutes at a time. Like, James Harden doesn't have those kind of games, I guess is
No.
what I'm saying. James Harden
No.
has to dribble the ball, he has to get to the foul line. If James Harden scores a lot of points, it. There has never been
Yeah.
a quiet 20 from James Harden.
No. He had the ball the whole time.
Yeah. So, but now Chris Middleton can sneak up on you in the box score, and you'll be like, "Oh man, he had 26
Mm-hmm.
for real? Okay, attaboy." So I'm with you there. I think that he will have an easier time to get acclimated. There's also the situation to pull and compare to Golden State. There's no Jordan Poole there that's been like, "Oh wow, this kid can go." And
Yep.
there, you don't have to worry. So we won't
When
have to worry
Clay
about.
came back, they had to worry about that acclimation. Those guys coexisting. Absolutely, they do not have that.
And they showed it on the court. And I was just about
Mm-hmm.
to say that, Chris, we are not going to see Chris Middleton at any point standing behind the 3-point line with his hands up in the air
No.
because the young Bucks players don't want to pass him the ball. I don't think you see that from Chris Middleton anyway. That's not a slight on Clay. There's just different personalities.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
B, no, there just isn't that other guy that's going to be like, oh no, hey, sorry, Chris, this is me now. They are, I'm sure, ready to have him back and what he brings to the offense. And,
Mm-hmm.
the Milwaukee was missing Chris Middleton, forgive me, for quite some time. And we mentioned this earlier when we were talking about the MVPs and maybe why Luka Doncic is not being included because the team's not winning. Well, they are missing Jalen Brunson, I would say. So much so that they have
He is
taken a
back,
chance.
boys.
They're trying some things here.
They are trying it. They really miss Jalen Brunson's scoring and playmaking that he brought, especially in the playoffs last year. They've lost 4 in a row right now. They miss it, man. It's the reality of it. And
They really do.
They tried to get him to sign, and they just couldn't get it done.
And it's tough. I mean, New York rolled out the red carpet, I assume. Do they, correct me if I'm wrong?
They haven't lost 4 in a row, by the way. I looked at the wrong side. They just won last night, or they won.
Oh, okay. They did win one. Did they not give Jalen Brunson's dad a job? I was doing research on this a long time ago. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I did an article, just a shameless plug here on Last Word, about the NBA's tampering policy and my thoughts on it. So I'll spoiler. No spoilers. Go read it. I'll let you know what I think about their NBA's tampering policy. But yeah, so I can't blame the Mavericks. Mark Cuban's a former Shark Tank guy. Maybe he's not willing to just do nepotism hires and see. I mean, at this point, I would have said it'd been worth giving Jalen's dad a job at this point.
100%.
I'd have done it.
College coaches do it all the time. They hire their dads to get recruits. So what's the difference?
And it's not like he's Jeff Saturday no, actually, wait, he's exactly like Jeff Saturday.
Yeah.
He was a high school coach. He actually, little fun tidbit, he was coaching, I believe it was DeJuan Wagner Jr. I may be wrong about the kid's name, but it's DeJuan Wagner's son. If you guys remember,
man, that's
from our heyday, right, James? Like we grew up watching that dude. Yeah. Now he's only in high school. Not like watching Marvin Harrison Jr. be the best wide receiver in sports. That makes a guy feel old.
That is something. Yes, I agree with that, bud. I agree with that. As a Titan fan who watched Marvin Harrison tear them apart, to see his son this good that year, like at Ohio State, makes me feel old.
It's bad, and soon we'll have. We're not that far away from Bronny James, although I hear that he's. I saw an article the other day that said he's a 4-star recruit with a 5-star name, but I have no doubts we will see him in the league.
So Kemba didn't make his debut. Didn't make his debut with him. Hasn't played yet. Did you see Luka's game? This one though, when they beat the Warriors this week.
No, what did he do?
He had a 41-point triple-double. 41 points, 12 assists, 12 rebounds.
See, those are the games where it's and again, and I love it. We're crossing all sports genres today, folks. That's what you get when you subscribe to Stadium Rant, because we have a football show. I'm about to bring in a baseball reference here. We got everything. We've got you covered. Like and subscribe right now. Do it right now. So I'm a Cubs fan who grew up with, if you guys remember this, Andre Dawson won an NL MVP for the last place Chicago Cubs. So I'm a big proponent, maybe a bit biasedly, of like, just because the team's not winning, if this dude continues to drop 40-point triple doubles, that's a lot of value. I mean, because I think you can make the same argument of, but what if he was on a good team? Like I hate that when you see these guys who are playing outside of their mind and the team doesn't win, and somehow that lowers their value. And it's like, no, it's the most valuable player. And at some point, like the individual contribution, and you have to look at the parts around the guy, because how many more triple doubles would he have if he had more scorers around him? Stuff like that. Like, especially with point guards where it's
he's leading the NBA this year in triple doubles. He's got 5. But your question is, could he have 7?
Right. How many more? Yeah. So I expect him to be a finalist for the MVP this year. I really think it's Luka or bust. Let's see. We have a comment.
You're gonna let Trev talk like that? You're gonna let this? You're gonna let this slide?
Go Cards! No. We got some baseball rivalry in here. No. Although, hey, I will say, we'll always have what was it? What summer was that? We'll always have McGuire and Sosa, right?
Yeah.
We'll
Oh
always
yeah,
have that.
98.
98, right? Okay.
So
Oh, good Lord.
Kemba signs. Timeline for him to play is uncertain. Club hoped to get him on practice yesterday, so we'll see here. Didn't play this year, just got signed. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see when they try to get him going and what he can provide.
What he can provide, if anything. And we talked before we get away from Luca. You and I have been sharing a conversation about what I imagine is continuing to go viral on Twitter right now, which is, I believe, the Twitter handle Devin in the lab. But he made so. I need to provide all of the context here because there's a point that he's trying to make, and he's a Jordan Poole fan or whoever I should be assuming, but this Twitter account is made by a Jordan Poole fan who apparently was tired of all the videos and tweets about Jordan Poole carrying all the time and about how like every move he does is illegal in the NBA. So he has taken it upon himself to start a war with every big name player in the NBA.
Yep.
And he did a Luka Doncic video and he has now dropped a Giannis video.
Yep.
Just showing all of their dribbling stuff. Now, I'm going to promise you this. We're going to look at some of these clips next week. But, James, before we go into our deep dive, what were your thoughts on that? Because we both come from an older point in the game where we were taught specifically not to do these things. So how do you feel?
We've known the NBA is relaxed, that they're relaxed on traveling calls, the carries and stuff. When you see it like that, it just shows you how bad it's got. I mean, the Luka one, it's a carry every single time. Giannis does it when they're putting their hand under the ball.
Kyrie's been doing it for years.
And then the one that gets you is the pivot foot, like them messing up their pivot feet. And those are travels, and they're never calling them. And those are easy, like they're switching their pivot feet mid, like that stuff. I think I don't know if you can carry, like you got to fix that a little bit, like the way they're doing it. But the pivoting foot, like that kind of stuff's got to get cleaned up. You can't have that.
I agree with you on that. That's right where I want to draw the line as well. Like, would I prefer them not to carry like that? Absolutely. But part of that maybe is just a little bit of jealousy where it's like, well, I could have done a lot cooler stuff with the ball too if you'd let me do that.
I'll just carry it like a football.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, we play an ultimate frisbee out here. Yeah, we can have a lot of fun. But it's the pivot foot for me because that is just such a fundamental part of the game, and it really, I don't know. It's just you see these pros doing things that you haven't seen since middle school or elementary school, where it's like, man, it's inherent. Like I couldn't do it on accident, like
No.
I don't know about you, like my pivot foot and how that works is so ingrained to me because I was the same height as an eighth grader as I was. Yeah, it's like the muscles, it's muscle memory. It happens automatically. I was a power forward in middle school.
Yep.
So I was taught things that I wouldn't need to use later in life because everybody else outgrew me. But I still remember it. And I can't fathom. It feels so unnatural to do. I can't understand how guys now we've had some great to be on the counterpoint, we've had some great additions like the Euro step, and these are things that as we were coming up, they were kind of brand new, and now it's just everyone has one. And so there have definitely been these things where it's like, okay, I'm glad the game has evolved, but yeah, the carrying to that extent is, especially you're already posting the guy up. How much more help do you need? You're not going anywhere. So yeah, the pivot foot's my big one. But yeah, we will get into
do
that.
It's good, man. Those are good. I'd never seen them until you sent it.
It's interesting. It has popped just this week, and if you go back, you watch the timeline. And at one point, he said, "I won't stop until we have 1950s basketball." And
did you see you saw the 1950s clip?
The 1938 one where the guy was like, where everybody's traveling. It looks like a bad Harlem Globetrotters thing. Yeah,
we will play that one. That one's so good.
We're gonna play that one too. Yes, because now the historian in me wants to go back and be like, have we been given because you watch some Bob Cousy highlights, and for those of you who haven't, do yourself a favor. It's going to be in 4 pixels, so I'm sorry. He'll be the little Lego block holding the ball, but it's amazing some of the stuff that dude could do. And as JJ Redick would point out, he was playing against plumbers, and I don't care. He was still doing amazing things with the ball in his hands. So it makes me wonder, were there maybe some guys who were more athletic than the rest of them back in the 50s, who were also getting away with a
Mhm.
lot of crazy bad traveling,
Yep.
because apparently this has been a thing for a while.
Mhm.
So we'll get into that, and as we always do, now it's time, I think, to look into the upcoming slate for the week. So James, we actually didn't go
Mhm.
over games ahead of time,
No,
but
we
I've
have
got
not
our
talked
whole
about
slate.
these.
So this is actually really off the cuff. We have not
We did not
pre-picked
talk
any
about
games.
these. First one, Denver, Atlanta, Friday night, 7:30. Pretty intriguing little matchup there.
What
Who
are
do
you
you got?
thinking? I've
Are
already
you ready?
talked. Oh, okay, I'll go first. I've been talking trash about Atlanta, so I might as well. I guess not necessarily trash. I think they have been a bit disappointing
I agree.
when I looked at what they were doing before they had Dejounte Murray. God,
You got DeJuan Wagner.
Dewan Wagner
You
got
got
me.
you're all
Dejounte
screwed.
Murray. I'm a little disappointed at what I've seen.
They're just
So
12-10. You know.
yeah, which is again, you get a guy of that talent, you expect like your record's the same. You're not. You're
Mhm.
just you're just an above 500 team. You're a 6 to 8 seed in the East at
Yep.
best right now, and I expect more. So unfortunately, even though they're the home team, I'm going to go with Denver on this one. What about you?
I would agree. I think Denver's the better team, better record. Denver's 14-7. Atlanta 12-10. I agree with you that if you just look at the records compared to last year, they seem very similar. So they're 4 of their last 6. I like Denver. I like Denver pretty handily in that one.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with you there. Now, right after that, there's one that early in the year I would have pegged as must-see TV, Miami at Boston, but it
Yeah,
has not played out that way in
Miami's
Miami.
still
Now, they're
struggling.
they've been struggling with some health issues. Now, I know that better than most because I have Tyler Hero on a fantasy squad, so
Yep.
he's missed some time. He's back now. What do you think? I got 2 questions for you. Who do you like in this game, and how are you feeling about Miami just in general?
The one question is an easy answer. It's the Celtics. Like you're going to say the same thing about the Celtics in that game, and I don't know, man. You hope they could get it figured out, but like you said, the injuries have hurt them. I don't. They just don't look right. Just
They seem to lack some of the toughness that you is always there,
PJ Tucker
right?
not being there hurts.
I was thinking it, and you said it, and that's where it came out was me saying a lack of toughness, and it's been part of, and you don't want to give all the credit to PJ Tucker because it's been since the days of Tim Hardaway Sr. and Alonzo Mourning, the
Yep.
Miami Heat have been tough, man.
Yep.
So it's a Pat Riley thing, but
Jimmy's missed games. Like it's
you don't have Jimmy, you don't have PJ, Udonis Haslam does not play anymore unless it's time to come in and get ejected.
yep.
So
Still
where are your
collecting
tough
that paycheck
guys?
though.
Yeah, he's happy to just make him a coach. I mean, you don't just Pat doesn't have
Wow.
enough money for one extra coach on his
Right.
coaching staff, and then you can have a real actual player.
Yep.
On,
I know what you're talking about. He's played 3 games this year, sir. He has
there's
played
got to
3
be
games.
somebody in the G League who could who they could find out about.
Definitely got
You
to have
got
more
all these.
athleticism left in him. Like God bless you, has him. I love that dude, but he's 10 years removed.
Yeah, and no beef against him. Get your money.
No.
If someone's
Yeah,
offering to pay
100%.
you
Yeah, this is
money,
not
you
us
take it.
hating on him.
Yeah.
Well done, bud.
Yeah, keep it up. And I do think he's going to be a great assistant coach someday
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
he can just be the one who yells stuff.
He
Have
could
you
follow
seen
that Juwan Howard road where Juwan sat in that role and then just worked his way through.
and learn the ropes there? Yeah, because he's got the mentality, he's got the attitude. He'll be a good coach for yelling. He'll be the guy to get in you, as they say.
Yep.
So we've got a cakewalk, one or two cakewalks at 7:30. What's the next one? What's the next game that you like to look at
Oh,
here?
it's Toronto, Brooklyn. It's very
Yeah.
next one. Siakam's back.
Siakam is back. I know because the sky is falling. I like to talk about fantasy, guys. So I'm sorry if that's not your thing. You just let me know in a comment. I'll start an entire new show that's only about fantasy basketball, and you can come watch that. But Chris Boucher has been getting dropped like a bad habit in some fantasy leagues, and I don't get it because he's still. I think in Siakam's first game back, he's still got about 20 minutes. He's a good player, guys. He's still going to play. There's still minutes out there. But anyway, Siakam is back. James, how are you feeling?
Toronto at Brooklyn. I like Toronto. So they're the 7 and 8 seed in the East right now. So whoever wins goes to 7. I'm going to stick with Toronto. I think Toronto's going to get the win here. Siakam's back. Brooklyn's still. They're both not doing great right now. Their last 10, they're both 5-5, 6-4. I like Toronto here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Toronto too. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sorry for putting you on the spot. I didn't do my research on this one, but what is the net status? Are they missing anyone in their lineup right now? I think
Ben Simmons. Ben
missing.
Simmons.
Okay, I thought it was Ben Simmons.
He's got issues with his knee. The knee he had surgery on.
That's tough. You don't like to hear that, and that's the thing, man. Joints are tough, and especially when you have issues elsewhere and you try to compensate for it, and then it turns into like that's the thing with the knee. Like if you don't get your knee right, then it can turn into your hip.
So he's got that's what it is. He's got a calf strain that is resulting because of his knee. So he's out at least 3 games. This was on the 30th. It's the back of the knee. They said, it's because it's his calf, but it's being caused by his knee.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And if he's missing at least 3, that's starting yesterday, so he's going to be out for most of this week. Not that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's played better, but it's not that he still hasn't been.
He's
what
played
they were needing, but
better, but. Better is relative, and we say that his last 2 games he had 0 points in 11 minutes and 2 points in 34 minutes. So, however, he did have that 20-point game against the Pacers. He can hang his hat on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a loss though. They did lose that game.
And let's see. I would love. Wow, and of course, leave it up to ESPN. You can tell they schedule these games early, right? They schedule some of these before the year starts. LA at Milwaukee. Everyone can tune in at 7:30 Eastern for a fresh whooping, an old barnyard style whooping.
I agree with you there. Good Lord.
What about this 8:00 Philly at Memphis? I kind of like that one.
That's fun.
What do you think?
James Harden's not going to be back yet, right? He's targeting.
That is my understanding. Let's pull it up. Targets Monday in Houston.
Yeah, so Houston. I like Memphis in this game with Jaren Jackson, Ja, those guys. If Harden was back, I maybe go that way, but it's also in Memphis too, so I'm going to stick with Memphis in this game.
Yeah, exactly. For those reasons, I think this is a winnable game for Memphis.
Yep.
Maybe if Philly was at full strength, but even then, you mentioned the crowd. It's always a great crowd, but Philly, despite their struggles, they still hold a lot of name and brand recognition. They still have a lot of star power. That's a game that gets a lot of folks in the crowd, getting them ready to go. So I'm with you there. I think it's Memphis all the way. I wonder if it's even close. I expect them to be kind of partying in the fourth quarter. This is one I could see a lot of little videos of maybe someone's kid doing a dance on this feels like one of those games.
Yeah, I like
they're gonna have some fun at the end. And then we don't have much else. There's one here at the bottom I want to pull up. Now you of course know that I want to talk about that 9:00 Indiana-Utah game.
Heck yeah.
And then of course, maybe we'll look at that 10:00 one too.
Kev, our Jazz have fallen off the map, bud. They've fallen off the map. The wheels have come off. This is not good.
It is. Is it one of those? Am I going to have to pull up the Dennis Green? We are who they thought they were. Am I ready to cue that up next week?
So when we talked last time, they were number 2 in the division or in the league? They were second. Yes. Is that right?
Yep.
They are now. They are now. What is this? They are 7th. 13-11. They have won 1 game in a row, which is good considering before that they had lost 5. Those 5 were the Clippers, Detroit, Golden State, Phoenix, Chicago. So 3 teams pretty good. 2 you shouldn't lose to. Mm-hmm. Is the run over, Kev? Are they who we thought they were?
I hate to say it. I think so. This is such an intriguing game now because I think both of these teams are who we thought they were.
Yep.
And someone's going to win this game and give their fan base a little more hope.
They're going to tease them a little bit.
They're going to extend that. And the reality is neither team should want to win this game at the end of the day because I don't think either team is a true playoff contender. I hate it. Listen, hey, you're going to see my bald spot real quick. But look, I get it. You've probably already seen the cup, okay? It doesn't. I take no joy in saying this about the Pacers, guys. So you can take it as a true and honest take. This team does not belong in the playoff picture. They're ahead of schedule, and it's awesome. This both teams should want to lose this
Yep.
game, and
Yep.
I'm afraid that the Pacers are going to win it. Who do you think is going to win?
I think so too. I think the Pacers win it. Denver did just beat the Clippers, however, or the Jazz did. I think their regression's hitting and they're hurting their own draft pick. And the question is, did they win too many? And the answer is absolutely.
Absolutely, and it's sorry, I'm going to miss Jazz Watch because at this rate,
I know. I hope they prove us
we're
wrong.
only
I
going
hope
to have a couple more weeks of it.
Is back next week and it's back. I don't.
It might be the jinx. The jinx might be on now.
Is the curse of the bounce real? We will find out next time.
They're gonna need it to be because at this point, yeah, they need to beat the Pacers. It's such a weird game. I can't wait to watch that game.
Mm-hmm.
It is gonna be a lot of fun to watch, especially just for this show
For this
alone.
show, it's
I
gonna be
can't.
watch
I wish
TV.
I could live stream during the game and
Right.
just do a commentary. We do our own play by play. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. And you know what? Do you have the standings handy?
I do. I have them right in front of me. Yes.
I would like to ask you about this Bulls Warriors game because the Bulls are
Warriors.
another team that I just can't figure out. I really thought they were going to be good based on last year, and they're middling at best.
They're middling at best. Not having Lonzo Ball hurts. The young guys haven't stepped up, and 9-12 right now. Yeah, disappointing. They're in a weird spot, man. Like they're too overpriced, too old to be real good. However, like they're not bad enough to be bad. Yeah. Not a lot of young guys to turn to yet. They're kind of. It's not. They're in. It's a weird spot for them.
Yeah, like you said, they have a roster that really needs to be winning right now.
Mm-hmm. It's a win now roster, and it's not.
And it's not winning. So at that point, are you settled? Do you think that it's time for them to be sellers by the trade deadline, or do you think they still have time to turn it around?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, even if like Lonzo would get healthy and those guys figure it out, are they even a second round team, Kev? Like, I don't think so.
I don't think there's enough talent there. I think
they should be in sell, just fire sell and keep Levine, keep the young guys. But guys like DeRozan, people would want DeRozan.
Yep, and he's the guy that's got to go because as talented as he is, he's the guy who's in his mid-30s, maybe early 30s, but still, he's a mid-30s guy, early 30s guy. Not a great three-point shooter, so he's not going to have that same ability to extend his career until he adds that to his game. Yep. So his time of being a number one guy, I'm not saying it's out this year or next year, but that window's closing. I think a lot of people were very surprised that, some people might say that last year was kind of a flash in the pan anyway. I haven't been following the Bulls enough to know, so don't roast me yet, Bulls fans. Let me earn it. I will. Mm-hmm. But I think it would be, if I'm the Bulls, I'd be looking at moving him. I'd be looking at moving Vooch because he's the kind of guy that he's a true center. He's a great piece if what you need and what you're missing is a true center, but I don't think he's good enough to build anything around. Vucevic and Valanciunas, I like them both. I feel like they have a lot. I mean, their games aren't exactly the same, but when it comes to their tier as like a center, I feel the same way about those guys. So if you would put Vucevic like Valanciunas, we've seen him in the right role where he's like a third option. He's a true center. Like he can be a menace down there. I think so. Like I think there's because we saw it, with Vooch in Orlando, and some of that could just be, hey, it's a really bad team. Someone has to score in 40. It's playing basketball for 40 something minutes here. Somebody's going to score the ball. But I think I think you could get some value out of Vucevic for the right team. So I'm with you. I think the Bulls need to sell anybody who's not young, and everyone other than Levine should be considerable.
Yeah, and Levine struggled too. He had that offseason knee surgery and his explosiveness not fully back yet. That doesn't help them either. That's hurting him. He's struggling at the rim worse than he ever has, and he's a high flyer. That's where he belongs. So
it's tough, and it's you can come back from that. You can adjust your
Mhm.
game if it ends up going away. But sometimes it takes years. We talked about it
Yeah.
last week, but I hate to do it again. But it's another one that fits just because of where he's at. But like Derrick Rose,
Mhm.
eventually a below the rim Derrick Rose became a very good player. Not quite the same guy, maybe ever,
Not the
but
MVP caliber, but it took him a long time,
a
man. It
long
took him a
time even to
long
get that.
time. So hopefully his isn't as bad. The explosiveness comes back, but right now it's just not there right now.
Yep, not there. So with that, and it's a home game for the Warriors. So I'm assuming you're taking
It's
Golden State on this one.
Kev. Golden State's 9-1 at home.
They
They're
ain't
two and
losing to
10 on the
Chicago.
road, 9-1 at home. It's Golden State wins at home. It's what they do.
That's
They go
what
on
they
the
do.
road, bet against them. They win at home.
They win at home, and that's what they're going to do. I'm with you there. They're going to win this one at
Yep.
home, continue to build a little bit of momentum.
Another
And
ESPN pickup before the season because I guess it is the only 10 o'clock game, so it makes sense. But
I'm a big fan. They should be playing more 10 o'clock games. Listen, I don't know the math behind all of this, so I could be an idiot talking out of the wrong end of his body right now. But I don't know of a lot of compelling ESPN programming that's on
yeah,
Tuesdays or
don't know.
Thursdays at 10
No idea. Who
o'clock.
knows? Who knows?
Friday night, 10 o'clock. Could be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. But I tell you what, if you had basketball games on at 10, I'd be watching them.
Yep.
So keep those coming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's I don't care if it's Sacramento, Utah. I mean, actually,
Yep.
right now, as a true NBA fans, like, what are you talking about? That's going to be a great matchup. But casual fans might not like that. But give us 10 o'clock basketball. What else
Yep.
you got?
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I'm very excited for tomorrow's slate.
Good slate tomorrow. Good slate.
Oh yeah. And excited for next week's episode. What do you have, James? Anything that I forgot here? Anything we want to touch on before we say our goodbyes?
I don't think we missed anything. Are you watching USA Soccer Saturday morning, Kev? You gonna be cheering on America over there?
Always, yes.
Yeah.
Now, a little fun fact about me. So I hail from France. France is the motherland. I was not born there, but I am what you would
You could have
call
literally just said you were born there, and I'd have been like, I did not know that.
No, I'm a first generation American though, so it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so I am a huge supporter of France. A little fun story. We already talked about 1998 once today, so let's do it again.
Yep.
In 1998, for those of you who don't know, France won the World Cup on
Mhm.
the strength of Zinedine Zidane,
Oh,
who
what a
has
guy.
the same hairline that I do.
Yeah, same bad thing.
I copied it off of him. Well, my grandmother was in town that summer, my French grandmother, and
No kidding.
when France beat Brazil, I kid you not, she ran out into the streets of our subdivision with a pot and pan, banging, yelling "Vive la France, Vive la France,
Jeez.
allez les bleus." And of course, I was like 9 years old,
Like,
10 years
oh,
old, so I ran out too and was like, my parents were going to allow me to go out and bang pots and pans in the street like a
Like,
hooligan. So
I'm never
I had
getting this
I'll
opportunity
never
to
get this
act
chance
out of
again.
that.
So yes, I have two horses in this race, to be completely clear and be transparent. But France has had, even in the most recent one, we've had some luck. So I'm all in for the United States. Yeah, that
France is
I will
okay
be
to
torn
win
if we ever have to play each other.
Yep.
I won't know what to do with myself, but I'll probably root for where I currently live if I have to.
I don't. We'll talk about that if we ever get there. France is a favorite to win, and I would like one more win out of the United States. That'd be a lot of fun.
It's just nice to have them in here, right? Nice to have them
Yeah,
in the
man,
mix.
and making the group stage, that's a bonus.
Yep.
Like that last game was the last 45 minutes of that game were horrifying. Just edge of your seat, like
It was exciting, and not that this is no endorsements here, and I won't give you any advice, but I actually, I found out I won some fantasy on that USA matchup.
There we go.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this again. Pays to just to bet blindly on your country. No,
Just bet for America.
Oh well, next week we will be back. We're not yet to a holiday, so we will be back at our
Normal
regularly
time
scheduled
again,
time,
yeah.
Thursday at 9. So be sure to follow us on Twitter at Stadium Rant HQ, and you can also follow me on Twitter. You can follow James.
Mhm.
Our handles are right there, and we will let you know when we're going live. But if you subscribe, click that little bell notification, you will be told 30 minutes before we're going live that we're going live. You can, of course, just find us on YouTube. We have a playlist for the bounce. You can check out Necessary Roughness, our flagship NFL program as well. Get caught up on all the big news in these programs anytime. Be sure to like and subscribe. James, where can they find you? What do you have going on?
Find us here every week, 9 p.m. You can catch me Titans Tilt on Stadium Rant as well. That podcast, I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, a little down right now after the Bengals lost last week. And big A.J. Brown game this week, the revenge game for him, not for us. We got rid of him. I'm horrified what's about to happen this weekend. So,
Treylon Burks.
hey, I like Treylon. I'm going to give him credit. He's been playing good. The other guy was really good.
Yeah. I like him a lot. I can't cross my streams too much here, but I do have an AFC South Fantasy Outlook article coming out here in the next couple of days. So, yeah, you can find me at the Last Word on Sports. I'm a managing editor there, so I write stuff about the NBA and college basketball. I also am a contributing writer covering the AFC South for Stadium Rant. So, again, especially if you are into fantasy stuff, give me a read there.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me just about every day on YouTube at Bite Size Sports. So if you are into short form, laid back content, all right, I'm going to make fun of your team. I promise you. Okay. I've done it. I'll do it again, but I make fun of me too. So it's all fun and games. So anyway, we thank you so much for joining us and watching today. We will see you next week, Thursday at 9, right here on Stadium Rant.